Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about high temperature, high humidity, and strenuous physical activity. That's things that all you guys are involved in, right? A lot of people are exposed to heat on the job. You can be outdoors, you can be indoors. As long as it's hot and there's high humidity involved, and you're doing some strenuous physical activity, there's a potential for heat-related illnesses. So that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, I would imagine this has probably happened to all of you at one time or another. You've been working hard and all of a sudden you just don't feel good. You've been outside and you're soaking wet, drenched in sweat. Oh my gosh. And you just keep right on going. You got to start paying attention to some of the signs and some of the things that could go wrong with you. So we're going to talk about heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Thousands of people are affected by this. We need to talk about those two things, how to prevent them, and how you'll be able to recognize some of the symptoms that could lead to some really physical problems, some sicknesses, some illnesses that take place with not only you, but also maybe some of your friends too, or relatives. So let's just start talking about them. When a person works in a hot environment, the body has to get rid of that excess heat to maintain a stable temperature. So let's say my body temperature is 98.6 degrees. Okay? I'm outside and I'm working and I'm in the sun and the humidity is 90%, 95%, and it's 95 degrees outside with very little breeze at all. We're going to have those conditions. It happens every single summer. So what happens to our bodies when it gets hot? What do all of us do when we're hot and we're outside working? We begin to sweat, we begin to perspire, we're throwing off all kinds of liquids. And what happens at that point in time is our brain tells our body, I got to start pumping blood up towards the surface of the body. And so blood is automatically pumped up towards all of the veins that you may have in your hands and your arms and your head, up towards the surface. And the reason that happens is because your body's trying to cool all that blood off. And the other thing that happens is you begin to sweat. So all the liquid that's in your body grabs those heat molecules and pushes them outside of the body, trying to cool things off. Then when we get a layer of sweat, say on our arms, perspiration, liquid, what we're looking for is a little bit of breeze to take all of that liquid, and it sort of dehydrates off, goes away and cools at the same time. It's almost like an air conditioner. If you run a little bit of air over some water, it's going to produce a cool breeze. That's what we're in hopes of. There's a problem. High humidity, high temperatures. If the outside of your body is the same temperature as the inside of your body, well, none of those things are going to happen. It won't make any difference if the blood is pushed up to the top of your body. That won't make any difference at all because it's not cooler up there. So what does your body do? It continues pumping out liquids, pushing and pushing and pushing all of that perspiration out because it's trying to keep your core temperature lower is what it's trying to do. If that doesn't work, after a while, the body says, stop. No more liquids. I'm running out of liquids. I need the rest of the liquids in the body to take care of the blood and the brain. And it stops pushing out liquid. Well, what happens to your core temperature then? Your core temperature continues to rise and go up and go up and go up. And my gosh, if you're going to have heat stroke, your temperature could go up to 105 degrees. And you're in serious condition at that point in time. You won't need to stop on your own. You'll be down on the ground, passed out. And when it gets to that point, you could be very close to death. Now, I know some people might poo-poo that and they might laugh a little bit about it, but it happens to people every single year. So you got to be careful. You can't let yourself get to that point, and you've got to start recognizing when you're starting to feel bad. You don't feel too good now. It's really hot. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. I'm worn out. So let's talk about all these, okay? As I said, heat stroke can result in death, and it requires immediate medical attention. If you have somebody that's in heat stroke and they've passed out, one of the first things that you need to do is grab the old telephone, dial 911 is what you need to do. You'll be able to tell that if you feel that person's forehead, they'll be extremely hot. So here's some of the things we need to look for. Sweaty palms. Maybe your safety glasses are starting to fog up a little bit. Oh boy, I'm starting to get dizzy. I'm fatigued. I'm just not working like I was. I can't think straight either. You just got a little bit more to do, so I'm going to press on anyway, rather than stopping and drinking liquids. So, first of all, let's talk about heat stroke. That's the most serious of all. It happens when our body becomes unable to regulate its core temperature. Sweating stops. No more liquids, right? I talked about that. So sweating stops, and the body can no longer rid itself of excess heat. Here's some of the signs: confusion, loss of consciousness, and maybe even seizures. Heat stroke is a medical emergency. It can result in death. Call 911 immediately. Heat exhaustion, which is not quite as bad, and I would be willing to guess that a majority of us at one time or another had heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion, that's the body's response to loss of water and salt and minerals from heavy sweating. Signs include headache, nausea, dizziness, weakness, irritability, thirst, and heavy sweating. We can get heat cramps too. They're caused by loss of body salts and fluid during sweating, low salt levels in muscles, and that can cause really painful cramps. I used to get this a lot, and I did a study on it to find out what I could do when my legs would cramp up. So I went to a lot of the football teams and I asked them that question, some of the college teams and professional teams, and here's what they used, guys. You're not going to believe this, but they used pickle juice. They had jars of pickles on the sidelines, and when the guys would start to cramp up, they'd go over and grab that jar of pickle juice and take a big swig of it. So you might try it. I know it worked well for me. The other thing you can get is a bad heat rash. That's absolutely terrible. Kind of a prickly heat. It's skin irritation. It's caused by sweat that doesn't evaporate from your skin, okay? It's the most common problem in hot work environments, and it can really be annoying. So, heat stroke. Here's some of the symptoms: confusion, fainting, seizures, excessive sweating, or red, hot, dry skin because your body has stopped putting out fluids, and a very high body temperature, maybe up to 105. For first aid, call 911. Then place the worker in a shady, cool area, loosen their clothing up, remove their shirts if it's all possible, fan air on the worker. If there's any ice around, wrap it up in some towels, put it in the person's armpits, right? Because we're trying to cool them down. Give them fluids if they're able to drink, and then stay with the worker until help arrives. Heat exhaustion. Our skin gets cool and moist. There's heavy sweating. We might have headaches. We might have nausea or vomiting, dizziness, lightheadedness, weakness in our body. So here's what we need to do. Go sit down. Go get in some shade and sit down. You need to drink plenty of water at that time, or other cool beverages. Water would be the best. Maybe some cold compresses, some packs, put them on your chest and your armpits. And if you don't get the feeling better by about an hour or so, then you need to go to an emergency clinic and get a little bit of help. If you end up with heat stroke, there's a possibility you could be in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. I've talked to several guys about this. I know one guy that was in the hospital for a week just because of heat stroke, okay? You could be very thirsty. Your heartbeat could go up quite a bit. So you need to pay attention to this right away. For heat cramps, you're getting muscle spasms and pain. Everybody knows when they're getting a cramp. I don't think I need to explain that to you. But once again, get rid of the cramp, pull it out, sit down, get cool off, drink lots of water. And one of the main things that people forget to do, they immediately grab lots of water and start drinking. That's good. But you've got to replace those minerals that you lost from your body. All of the salts and all of the other minerals, they're going to be gone. So eat a little bit of food. Hey, if you have a sandwich or something like that, try and eat a little bit of it. Best thing you can eat is a piece of fruit, like an apple. That's going to have a lot of the minerals that you need. Get something, a little bit of salt in your body, something that's a little salty, maybe some chips or something like that. Get that in your body at the same time you're drinking fluids, and you're going to recover much faster. So the best way to prevent heat illness is to make your work environment cooler. And here's some of the recommendations. Number one, let's start with training, okay? Just like we're doing today. That's the first recommendation. So if you see this coming on, you can just stop for a second and say, well, I need to be drinking some water. You should be drinking, when do you start drinking water? You start drinking water before you come to work, is when you start drinking water. And then you drink water throughout the entire day. Need to remind all of us to drink small amounts. You might be drinking maybe a cup every 15 to 20 minutes if it's really hot outside and you're losing lots of liquids. Keep drinking more, okay? And then have regular meals. Have some snacks. They're going to provide the salt and the electrolytes that you need. That's it. We're done talking about heat stroke. The main thing you've got to remember is to act upon it. If you start feeling bad, find a place to cool off. Let some other people know that you need a little bit of help. Thanks, everybody. Be safe in the workplace. Oh, the quiz. Good thing Dave is here. He always reminds me of the quiz, right? Number one, what do we call a combination of humidity and high temperature? The 4th of July? No, I gave you that one, didn't I? Heat stroke, heat exhaustion, or the heat index. It's the heat index. That's what it's called. I brought a picture of it here. Type it in on the internet and read it just a little bit. It's the heat index, okay? Take a look at it. It's very interesting. What are some symptoms of heat exhaustion? Heavy sweating, headache, dizziness, and weakness, or all of the above. It's E, all of the above. If a person has heat stroke, what's the first thing that you should do? Remember, not heat exhaustion, heat stroke. The first thing that you do, dial 911. Let's get somebody there to help you out. You could save a person's life. And workers, this is true or false, workers should drink liquids and eat regular meals for calories and minerals. That's true. You got to replace the salts, the minerals, you need some calories, and you need some liquid all at the same time. Be careful out there and be safe. Bye, everybody.